Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This show doesn't leave state lines. It's All Politics Are Local with Barry D.
Welcome to another episode of Barry D's All Politics Are Local. I got a great show here today, and got a lot of information to cover. So let's get to it here. Let's start by saying there will be no 5 minutes with Jack this morning. He is being bumped because of the coverage I am giving for this past weekend, and I have someone coming in to talk about the new Easton Township attempting to pass a tax on its residents. I don't want to short my candidate interviews, but I promise he will be back. Last Saturday was a busy day for me. I found out Dave McCormick, candidate for U.S. Senate, was going to be in Paoli, so I caught up with him early in the morning. His schedule was packed, but he gave me a couple minutes to talk to him, and I got a quick 90 seconds to ask him a question about his aggressive new commercial. So here's my quick interview. Let's hit this. It's Barry D from WCHE 95.3, and I'm here with Dave McCormick. He's doing a volunteer rally, getting together the troops to go out and do some campaigning. Dave, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Barry. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Listen, got a quick question for you. You got a new video out. It's gone viral. It's about Casey supporting Kamala Harris. What can you tell me about it?
This has been incredible. We got 6 million views on this video that my team put together. And essentially what it says is Bob Casey is supporting Kamala Harris 100%. And then it goes through her radical left positions. She wants to ban fracking. She wants to reduce consumption of red meat. She wants to decriminalize border crossings, illegal immigrants. She wants to defund police. It's in her own words. There's not a single word from me or any Republican. This is the most extreme liberal nominee in the history of our country. Bob Casey supported Biden and Harris 98% of the time. And so Pennsylvanians now have to choose whether they want to vote for Harris-Casey, an agenda that is completely out of whack and out of touch with Pennsylvania. And so I'm excited about this race. It's an opportunity to bring change and leadership. Bob Casey's been a weak senator for 18 years. I've been a military guy. I've been someone who's created jobs here in Pennsylvania, someone who wants to bring about change and make sure working families have better opportunity right here in our great Commonwealth.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you actually taking the time with me here for WCHE. Good luck on your campaign. We'll see you out there again later. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you. So that is the interview I had with Dave. The entirety will be posted on my YouTube channel, and I believe it's also on the WCHE Facebook page right now. And hopefully he'll be able to get back with me. I'm hoping to catch up with him, and he's always welcome on the show. So let's get to the next thing. Saturday was a very busy day. I also had the station ask me to cover the Saturday evening Anti-Project 2025 and Agenda 47 event held on the old courthouse steps. WCHE, we were the only media that was present, and with many protests / rallies there, it was attended by around 50 or so people and about half a dozen speakers, including Commissioner Josh Maxwell. I do have videos of the speakers so that people can hear what it was all about and what they had to say, as well as some shots of the crowd so that people can see the attendance of the event. And I did several video interviews of the attendees. There were some really nice people there. I do have to say that they were very friendly and cordial, and obviously with any event, there were some not so nice people, but I wouldn't say that was a reflection of the overall disposition of the attendees. And again, as I said, there were many speakers, and while there were many assertions on both Project 2025 and Agenda 47, not one issue was referenced back to the actual section or quoted from Project 2025 or Agenda 47, which I kind of found disappointing. As one of the people I interviewed called it, Project 2025 is a wish list generated by the conservative think tank, which is the Heritage Foundation, and not a derivative of the Trump campaign. Claims in various publications state that 40, 100, and 140 former Trump administration people worked on the document. I can't verify the numbers. The Heritage Foundation does state that 400 people worked on Project 2025. And while there's no solid evidence that if Trump wins the presidency, he will adopt any of Project 2025, the impression given by the event speakers is that all of it will be adopted. Now, when I asked the attendees about the adoption of this by Trump, their opinion varied from absolutely to he'll pick and choose parts of it. Not one person I interviewed, though, and this is important, read the entire document. Many didn't read any of it. In fact, one woman named Sarah, who claimed to be the author of a flyer that was being handed out called Educate Yourself on Project 2025, had 5 statements or talking points, and she even admitted she hadn't read Project 2025. And I understand. Look, it's 900 pages. It's pretty onerous to review, but you need to have a factual grasp of what you're protesting and at least one item you can point to, especially if you're writing the talking points on why it's bad. I don't understand how one can legitimately write a highlight paper on something they have never read. The people I spoke with were repeating things that they were been told by friends, not my words, that's their words, and really don't know exactly what Project 2025 states. Again, their words. And in fact, in the interviews, many of the claims that they made just aren't true. And I'm not going to use any last names of the people I interviewed. Judy stated that Project 2025 is going to get rid of the Department of Education, and it's indirectly pushing religion be taught in school. I looked over the Project 2025. I did word searches. I did all sorts of things. It actually states that it wants to eliminate the Department of Education, move all programs so they can be managed directly so the states can control their school agendas and requirements. And so, for example, anything that has to do with Native American education should be moved to the Department of Interior's Bureau of Indian Education. All funding should be block granted so that departments or the state overseeing the school system can spend the money on whatever projects they see fit that is outlined in the grant. And public schools do not go away. I was told that they will get rid of public schools in favor of charter schools. So that it'll say that there will be no more public school. That's absolutely not true. They don't go away. What the document says is that it gives a choice to families to go to public schools, charter schools, Catholic schools, etc., instead of a monopolistic lack of school choice. Now I'm paraphrasing, but that's what I found. If anybody can tell me where I'm wrong, please email me and let me know. As far as religion being pushed into schools, I found nothing referencing the word religion in the part on Department of Education except for in the advancing legal protections for parental rights subsection, which really has nothing to do with religion. It was simply the word religion used as an example. That's it. There was also a claim that civil service people will lose their jobs. Actually, they're talking about closing down some departments or subsections of the departments and moving them to other areas where they're better and more applicable. Now, could people potentially lose a job? Sure. But most of them would be moved to different departments. There's nothing that I saw that said federal employees are going to get fired. And again, if anybody can show me that, send it over to me. I will personally make that correction. There was a lady that was dressed like a cat lady. I've seen her on TV several times. Sweet lady. She told me that if President Trump becomes president again, people will be arrested and there won't be free speech. I found no evidence that Trump would adopt the document at all, and I certainly saw nothing in the document about people being arrested for exercising free speech. And she also said under Agenda 47, which is Trump's platform, that if you go to a public school, you'll have to fill out an application for the military, but Christian or private schools, you will not be required. Man, that one really killed me. Actually, federal law is required to be registered, that has to be registered at the age of 18, anybody over the age of 18, and that's been that way for 4 decades. I had to do it. President Jimmy Carter reinstated the Selective Service Registration requirement on July 2, 1980 through the Presidential Proclamation 4771. The federal law, according to the Selective Service website, states almost all male U.S. citizens and male immigrants who are 18 through 25 are required to register with Selective Service. I interviewed a guy named Mike who was handing out that flyer that Sarah made. He agreed to an interview, and he said he read about a third of the document. He said that Project 2025 ends gay marriage. There's no reference to eliminating gay marriage that I could find. Mike, I asked him about it. I said, could you be specific, point out something? He started to, stumble a little bit on it. I said, listen, just anything, any point on there, like rolling back rights for blacks. And he became kind of angry. He told me to supply him with a copy of Project 2025. And when I suggested he had it at his fingertips, it's right on his phone. I said, look it up on your phone. I'll give you 10 minutes. he started getting mad and said, well, you read it. You know exactly where it is. And then he stormed off. Look, I'm not forcing anybody to do interviews, but if you come on, you better know your stuff. Sean and Dottie were there. Nice people. They said that it was going to criminalize LGBTQ. There's nothing that criminalizes it in any part of the document. I went back and looked. Look, guys, I spent hours on this. Hours of my life on this. Now, in their defense, they told me they hadn't read it, and they rely on friends to tell them what's in it. So I did ask a lot of people if they read Trump's Agenda 47, and they stated they did. But there is no document Agenda 47. It's all videos. Agenda 47 can't be read. And finally, one of the speakers was a candidate for Representative Elizabeth Moro. I've been sending her emails. I've mentioned that she hasn't acknowledged coming on here. And so I caught up with her. And I videotaped my interaction with her. Contrary to popular belief, I did not stalk her down. I did not chase her to her car. I did ask her about coming on the show. There have been rumors to the contrary about that. So let me play just what I actually had with her. Let me just see if I can pull this up here, and we'll get this done here. Its entirety. The video will be available tomorrow on my Facebook page and also on my YouTube channel. Here it is. Elizabeth, real quick, this will just take a second. We've inquired a couple times, WCHE, for you to come on my show, All Politics Are Local, but I haven't gotten a response. Can you tell me when are you going to come on? Is there a reason you won't come on the show?
Hey, how are you? I've got to go.
I realize, excuse me. I realize that, but you haven't responded. I'm just looking for a date that you can come on the show and talk about your platform. Is there a reason you don't want to come on the show? Is there something wrong with coming on WCHE, local Westchester Radio?
I don't know who you are.
I've inquired to you twice.
I don't know who you are.
I'm sorry. Would you like to come on?
I will talk to my campaign manager.
Well, actually, I've emailed him twice.
Okay, well.
And I was hoping maybe you'd pop on.
Okay.
Give you 20 minutes. That's all it is. Just 20 minutes on the show. Hi. How are you? So I'll take that as a no. You're not going to come on?
I just said I will talk to my campaign manager.
Okay. Well, you can.
I got to go because I've got another event to.
It's not that hard. 11 till noon every Friday, or you can even do a call-in.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay. I doubt we will. Thank you. So that was my interaction with Elizabeth Moro. Look, I will do this to anybody, Republican or Democrat. If you're not going to come on the show, I'm going to catch up with you someplace. So be prepared. This is not for a podcast. The rumor was, it's for Barry D's podcast. This is for regular radio, Westchester radio since 1963, and I'm here for this. Now, look, the bottom line is, do you have to talk to your campaign manager about everything you do? Because if that's the case, what are you going to be like if you become representative? I don't understand that. And if you're representing the people, just come on and talk about your platform. I've been very fair to everybody that's come on. So that's what we have there. By the way, her opponent, the current representative, Craig Williams, has not responded to my request either. Oh, by the way, Chrissy Houlihan, I've emailed her several times. Her press email doesn't work either. So I don't know what's going on with these candidates, but they're killing me on this. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Elizabeth Cavanaugh to talk about a new tax Easton Township is looking to put on its residents. So let's pay some bills and we'll be right back.
This show doesn't leave state lines. It's All Politics Are Local with Barry D.
And I'm back. Hey, Sam, you're doing pretty good today, huh? You're almost like a real professional at this point. What do you think?
Week by week, I think I get better.
Yeah, I tell you, it's great. In fact, we have Liz Cavanaugh on here. She's from East Town, and she's here to talk about a new tax that they're putting through on the residents. So let's give her a really good introduction. Something, that the residents don't stay in touch with what's happening in their township. So let's give her some kind of intro for that. You got something good picked out?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give it a shot. You ready?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Yeah, that is kind of the the taxpayers, but not exactly what I was thinking about. But okay, Sam, let's go. Let's go. Liz, it's great having you on the show.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Great to be
listen,
here.
let's get down to the brass tacks of this. You and I spoke like 2 weeks ago, and you said, hey, there's something really impressive going on here, and new tax on the Easton Township residents that they're trying to push through. Why don't you give me the briefing on it? I'm just going to let you go, and if I have any questions, I'll ask. Hit
Great.
it.
Thanks.
Go.
So a little history about what's happened in
Yeah.
East Town. Last June, there was a supervisors meeting, and some local residents looking at the agenda saw a line item about an earned income tax being on the agenda. And some members of the community then pushed it out to the locals and said, hey, anyone know about this? And said, please come to the meeting so that you can, voice your opinions.
Right.
So, supervisors meeting had an overflow crowd. People were looking in the windows from outside to say, hey, didn't know about this. And supervisors said, okay, we want some more public comment. Let's push this meeting off. We'll have it for 2 nights, and we'll make it better known. So they did. And over those 2 nights, there was a really large attendance. Overwhelming sentiment in the room was not fair to working families. Dozens of people spoke. And one comment that a few people voiced was, and I'm going to paraphrase, I'm retired. I won't pay this based on the income I receive because it doesn't affect investment money or pensions.
Right. And here's the problem. These people, they go, oh, it doesn't affect me, so I really don't care. Well, what about your neighbors? What about everybody else?
Here what was sort of heartwarming in a way. The second part of the sentence for these people, and again, I'm paraphrasing, was, but if this is mostly to offset the rising emergency responders fees, such as police and fire, I benefit from those services, and I should pay my fair share. Which, again, great. Another concern at the time was how the current budget was being spent, particularly in regards to township projects, and if any cost-saving opportunities had been adequately investigated. So at the end of the 2 nights, there was a 3-2 vote by the supervisors to take EIT off the table, and subsequently the supervisors approved a 34% increase in our property tax.
Wow.
Which,
That's pretty substantial.
Yeah, which also included a .784 line item dedicated to the fire fund. And I think there was a sense in the community that this now had been addressed.
Yeah, we got it. It's handled. It's done.
All good. So you can imagine the surprise of some of the residents looking at the July supervisors agenda, and there's a line item that says we're going to have a vote on approving a public notice about an EIT. So again, some of the concerned citizens spread the word, and over 100 people showed up in July. And they wanted to express their concerns, and 24 people spoke up, and I'm paraphrasing again. And the sense was, what they were saying was, I thought we were here 13 months ago to tell you our opposition to this. How are we back here again?
So they're coming right back to the well.
Right back to the well. Aren't there other ways? So what's on the table now, reduced from the 1%, was a 0.5% EIT due to the public comment at the meeting, which was great. And this is going to generate, based on a report they presented back in June of 23, about $4.4 million. This would be a 50% rise in our current budget, which is about $8.3 million for this year. So our budget revenues would go from 8 and budget to 12 something. This seems like a lot of money. And according to the study, 55% of the residents currently pay an EIT in our township. And the argument is this isn't going to be a new tax for them, but a clawback of tax they already pay to other municipalities. But really, only 38% of the people who pay that tax elsewhere, that money might come back to us.
Oh, really?
Because 17% of that money is paid by residents who work in Philadelphia. That money does not come back.
No, that's city wage tax. It's gone. That's
gone.
fair. Once Philadelphia's got its hands on it, it's over.
It's over. So what's really lost here is that this is going to be a brand new tax on 37% of our residents. There's a 7% population that they're not sure where those people work and how it will affect them. But what's in the study is 37%. It's going to be a new tax. There's also a sense, I think, that alternative revenue sources have not been adequately explored. For example, an increase in a transfer tax when a property is sold. Currently, our transfer tax in East Town is 2%. 1% of the sales price is paid by the sellers and 1% paid by the buyers at settlement. Our 2 neighboring towns, Tredyffrin and Radnor, that tax is 2.5%. So that allows those municipalities to collect 1% of that fee instead of the 0.5% we collect. So double.
And that's a coming and going, and it's done.
And it's done, which is the important thing. There's a finite period of time when
Right.
that tax is going to
Right.
come to
That's
you.
it. You've hit it. It's calculated in. You're done.
Done. So based on the numbers from the township financial statements of 22, the tax collected from real estate transfer tax in East Town in 2021 was $1,076,551. Imagine if we could have gotten twice that.
Right.
In 2022, the number was $998,533. I did a quick run just of residential properties sold in the township last year, and that number looks like it's about $590,000. Well, that would go a long way, I think, to helping where we're at.
Sure.
Another tax to consider that, again, both of our neighbors charge would be a local services tax. It's charged to people who work in our township and earn more than $12,000. It's about $52. And using figures, again, taken from that report, 5-year average from 2016 to 2020, that would add about $155,000 to the revenue. I think what's really important here is that we keep the township competitive with our neighbors, Radnor and Tredyffrin. Both charge these taxes, don't have an EIT. For residents and businesses, I think that's important when you're thinking about where am I going to build my life, where am I going to put my business. I think people looking to buy houses don't look at that one-time fee at purchase, because you said one and
No,
done.
they don't. They're buying in. They're done. It's calculated in. They're finished with it. They're good with it.
So these two revenue streams, plus a 34% raise in property tax, should be enough to cover our expenses. And if it's not, why is it not?
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that's a reasonable. I think
Absolutely.
that's a lot of what the
Absolutely.
question a lot of people have.
When you go into a weekly living expense and it increases like that, you've already calculated out what you can do and what you can't do. And a lot of people are living day to day,
Yeah.
week to week, month to month, and this becomes very difficult on them. Their insurances are going up, the gasoline, all the different prices, everything's going up. Interest rates have gone up. Everything's a problem, So it becomes more and more difficult for people. And when you add that one more thing and one more thing, but you're not getting any more from your job, what do? You find yourself on the edge of virtual collapse.
Most people don't get a 50% increase in their salary year over year.
I haven't noticed that.
No, me either. But again, I think the feeling in the community is emergency responders, that absolutely needs to be addressed. How do we do that? And what's the best way to do it?
Yep.
And if it's not this, and a lot of people think it's not, then how so?
Right.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that these are the only ways, but
Right.
are there other ways? These are
Right.
just two. So the matter hasn't been voted on yet. There's going to be a supervisors meeting on the 19th of August.
Okay.
And I would encourage anyone.
It's only 17 days away.
Yeah, I would encourage anyone who's got any interest in this on either side of it to come and make their feelings known. There's also going to be a website up
tell.
later today, maybe tomorrow. No Easttown EIT. No Easttown 2Ts EIT.com.
Perfect. Okay. I hope people go there. And anybody who is listening to this that has friends in Easttown, make sure of what you're doing. And by the way, a warning to that's going to roll over into the next township. It'll head over to Tredyffrin. If it goes there, it's going to go to the next one, and it's going to go to the next one.
Yep.
So, you need to head this off.
Yep.
Okay?
It's good.
Hey,
It's good. The more you know.
the more you know, the better off you are.
You are.
Elizabeth, I'd like to thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. It was a great civil service that you did by coming in here and blowing the whistle on this. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having the opportunity, and thanks for inviting me.
You got it. Thanks, Liz. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to a couple commercials and get our next guest on.
This show doesn't leave state lines. It's All Politics Are Local with Barry D.
All right. We are back, and I have another guest here with me in studio. It's Regina Mauro. She is running for PA Representative. So, Sam, you with me there?
I got you, Bear, and I think I got it this time.
Okay. So we got to do we got to do some kind of entrance for Regina. Like, we're trying to come up with something. This is supposed to be a classy show, So, let's hit this next one. Okay, let's let you, Regina. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, we're working. We're working on that. Sorry about that, Regina. We're gonna.
I like it. Was that Three Stooges?
That is Three Stooges.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, but nothing's happening. Welcome to the show. You're probably regretting it already. So you are running in what district?
157.
157th. What does that cover? What areas of the county?
So that is Tredyffrin, which happens to be the largest township in Chester County. Easton Township, right next
Largest by
to it.
population or land?
Yes,
By
by
population.
population. Very, pretty densely populated.
It is densely populated, like 30,000 something more.
A little less than that, but
Okay.
yes.
A lot of people.
Yes, a lot of people. And then we have Easttown right next to it. Tredyffrin and Easttown also make up the school district, Tredyffrin Easttown School District. And we have Willistown to the west, and to the north we have Schuylkill Township.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you go that far north. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
So you're butting right up against Phoenixville at that
Yes,
point.
absolutely.
Outstanding. Okay. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What brings you to want to run for the 157th?
Well, the one thing that always comes to mind is the fact that I'm really tired of. Is this close enough right here?
yeah.
Okay. I'm very tired and very concerned about seeing politicians say one thing. You know, they have really nice, talking points, but then they vote a different way. And I presume that they know that most people don't follow, how they actually vote, how they legislate. And that happens not to be something that catches the news.
People don't. A lot of times people say, I'm not into politics. And I say, oh, politics is very into you. You're writing their paycheck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and they don't follow it.
Yeah, and some of these votes are so egregious in my mind. Now, let's face it, there are some bills at the state, at the federal level, where there's a lot of junk in there, so you can understand why some people vote against or for something. But these bills that I'm talking about, they're relatively short. They're very to the point. They're not complicated. And so there's no, there are no poison pills of sorts in there. And to see the way that these legislators, and including Melissa Schusterman, the 157th, the way they vote, I decided, you know what, somebody's got to jump in,
Right.
and at the very least sound the alarm that these things are happening and it affects all of us.
All right. So give me some examples. What would you like to do? You get in there. What are you going to push for? Give me I don't know, top couple anyway, 2, 3 things. What is your target benefiting people? Where do you want to be?
Well, there's my number one concern, and they're listed on our website. I'm part of the PA Women in Red, so pawomeninred.com.
Okay.
And I have 5 of my main concerns. The first one is there has to be a way, and I think constitutionally I have found, I don't want to talk about it yet because I am consulting with attorneys and all that, but there may be a way to get this accomplished. Yeah. So I am one of the things that started getting me very concerned locally is to see the angst of parents and the angst of taxpayers at the local level about how the monies are being spent in the education of their kids or in local services. So when you look at the composition of school boards and township boards, I would prefer to see pretty equal representation because these are administrative positions. They're not political. So to see areas where you have one party that does not have majority as far as registered voters in their constituency, yet they occupy every single seat in these boards, I don't see how that's fair representation in prudent, accounting for, again, taxpayer monies and for how children are being educated. So one of my main concerns is fair representation, and that's something that I have not seen anybody pursue, but I think it would definitely help lower the temperature.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And bring good conversation. Look, you have to have, well, there's a lot of parties, but let's just say Republican and Democrat. You got to have both of them. When you only have one party, tyranny eventually comes to the top when it's just one thing because they're a monopoly. The country's against monopolies. Once you get into this, there needs to be more representation from both sides so they can have real conversations to get to real decent solutions.
Well, And let's not forget the independents, because these
Right.
are people that don't feel like they align completely with the
Exactly.
Republican Party or the Democrat
Exactly.
Party. So, for example, in Tredyffrin Easttown, you have, if I remember correctly, you have about 19% of the voter
That's
base in
huge.
Tredyffrin
And it's
Easttown.
growing.
It's and it is growing. Is the one with the fastest, not just locally, I mean nationally.
Nationally, absolutely.
So if you were to follow what I am suggesting, instead of having 9 members of the board be of one party, okay, in the case of Tredyffrin Easttown, Democrat, you would probably end up having 4 Democrats, 3 independents, and 3 Republicans and 2 independents, because everybody deserves a seat at the table.
Right.
Now, obviously, there's a flip side. There's very red areas, so to speak, in
Oh, absolutely.
Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
But I truly believe that as a good conservative, as a good Republican, that everybody deserves a voice and a seat at the table. So this would impact those areas as well, to where if they have 30% of their local voters be a Democrat, then they deserve a seat at the table.
Outstanding. Let's move on to another one. Hit me with something else. What else you got?
I'm very into education. I mean, I grew up in a family where that was number 1, number 2, number 3. That was a top priority. And my parents always looked for ways to give me and my siblings the best education. I am very concerned about certain school districts, not necessarily in the 157th, but let's face it, the responsibility of the legislator, number 1, is not to get any, not to push something that's going to impact negatively their district. But if it's
overall.
neutral, if it's not going to impact them negatively, then we need to think of other areas.
Right.
And school choice is huge for me. I know firsthand of communities, and I'll mention one of them, in Reading. I'm very close to that community, and I mean, they're very close to my heart, the kids in Reading High School, for example, where I have talked to many parents there who wish that they would have the ability to send their children to a different school. Because when you look at the tax dollars that are being sent there, now granted, there's a different composition than to a TE. TE relies more on local property taxes, whereas they rely more on state and
funding.
federal. Exactly. So the angst, most of them, that community happens to be overwhelmingly Hispanic, and people from Hispanic countries, including myself. I mean, we're not used to being restricted to a certain footprint. You send your kids to the school where you think they're going to do best.
By the way, best Mexican food I've ever had in my life was just off of Penn Street.
Penn
Reading.
Street has
Oh
a
my
lot. Well, you
God.
should try the Puerto Rican and the Cuban stuff
Oh
too.
man, I'm gonna go up there with you sometime just to find it, because I got to tell you, it was unbelievable. So, enough about me. Back to you.
No, that's okay. So, if they also have a problem with, actually, I should not be talking much about things that are happening internally.
Right.
But suffice it to say, the parents in that district would like to have the choice of taking their children, taking the tax dollars allocated to their kids, and taking them to another school nearby that performs a lot better. They're actually being funded with less taxes. So it's not a matter of, they don't have enough funds. No, they do. They do. Compared to other well-performing, high-performing academically districts. So different paths. Also, not every child is meant to go to college. And I've always regretted to see how many how many high schools measure their success by how many kids end up applying and going to college. And it should not be. I know very, very successful entrepreneurs who don't have a college degree. They went for the trades.
Best 3 days of my life.
Your best years of your life.
Best 3 days of my life. College. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I don't knock it. I mean, I even went to have a master's degree as well. So I'm not knocking. I'm saying that I'm all for options. I'm all for options. And
I will say that unfairly, the public school system does get these unfunded state mandates, and they're forced to do certain things that do kill them, that do cost them a lot of money. If you have to bring in somebody that is challenged in some way, physically or mentally, and they have to integrate them into it, they can spend $250,000 a year on that child. And I don't know what the answer is. I would believe it'd be better off moving them into something else, because they try to integrate them sometimes with the other students, and I don't believe that works as well. But I am not an educator. I'm not anybody like that, but I do have a nephew that is severely autistic, and I've seen how difficult it is on some of the public schools with some of the things they're forced to do.
Well, bringing it back to our district, Tredyffrin Easttown, as an example, I have seen, and the information that I get is always directly from the state, and I have seen the decline in performance. You know, they keep saying, "Oh, it's number one, it's number one." Well, if the standard's going down, okay,
You can still be number one. It's just a lesser number one.
Correct. So the academic performance has been going down, and things like school choice, what it does is we don't want to abandon our good, local public schools. Parents do prefer to stay in their local community schools, but the competition is king. Competition is what's going to increase the quality and lower the cost of things.
Yeah, it makes people desire to go someplace. That way they're getting the business. And really, that's what it comes down to. They're getting the business.
And that's,
and
you know
they have
what?
to do that.
What better for the school to reevaluate how they have prioritized taxpayer dollars in the education of those kids when they have parents saying, you know what, it's not the way it used to be. I'm going to take my kid over here. I would like to have my tax dollars. Thank you very much. And then if, I would rather keep coming here. You're closer to my home, and I love the community here. So this doesn't only apply to schools like I mentioned, Reading, but it also applies to other schools that have clearly been declining, and it's not a COVID thing. I did a comparison of Tredyffrin versus one of its arch rivals, which is Lower Merion. And after COVID, okay, because a lot of them use the excuse, oh, that's because of COVID. Lower Merion has been going up while Tredyffrin has been going down.
Wow.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
And and they're like, pretty much neighbors, right?
Right, exactly.
So there's something else in that. But,
you got about 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I wanted to mention one thing.
Go.
There's a million things. I wish we had like
Yeah.
at least an hour, but
I'll have to bring you back.
But
you know.
please do.
There's certain people that won't respond to my emails, so
I'm not one of them.
I'll bring you back. Yeah, that's right. You responded immediately. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate it. Come on here and talk.
I appreciate the
we're going to
opportunity.
fill up the airspace. We are the filler between the commercials. So go ahead. You
Okay.
have 2 minutes.
So there was a recent vote. It was for Senate Bill 219, which basically put a moratorium on property tax increases for the people of Pittsburgh. Okay, so what they did was they extended that type of exemption. Of course, there's certain criteria that has to be met. You have to be the homeowner. You have to be in the property as a homeowner for at least 5 years, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera.
It's like a homestead exemption.
Yes, but the thing is that there are, it goes by classifications. Okay, so you have first and second class and third class, and
for
even counties
cities.
all the way to eighth
Right.
class, I believe.
Right.
Well, this vote only benefited the people in Pittsburgh, and it was the reason that they passed it.
So it was a second class city.
And I don't think
there's
which
another
is the
second
only
class.
one.
Right.
That's the only second class
Yeah.
city. And to see that somebody like Melissa Schusterman voted for that when 12 out of the 50 cities in Pennsylvania that had the highest increase in property values and faced reassessments and faced huge tax hikes, 12 of the 50 are in Pennsylvania, in Chester County. And out of those, I think about 3 or 4 are in my district. So for her to say, no, it's okay, let's give it to Pittsburgh, instead of saying, well, wait a minute, what about the fact that Chester County is the
in
third?
your own backyard.
Yeah. Like, why would you, that's something that you either apply to everybody or you don't. But why would you favor Pittsburgh only?
That's pretty brutal.
It's very brutal.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Rahina, we're out of time. We have to get to a commercial, but man, it was a joy having you on here, and I will bring you back on because you respond to my emails. and I really appreciate it. Again, it is in the 157th District. Regina Mauro running for PA Rep. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Barry.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
This show doesn't leave state lines. It's All Politics Are Local with Barry D.
All right, we are back. Sam, we have our next guest on, Melissa Dicranian. She's running for Rep in the 167th district. You want to give her some kind of intro?
Yeah, let's give it a try.
What do you think we should do on this? You got something specific you want to do?
I got something I was looking at earlier this week.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a good one right
You
here,
do?
okay?
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get the right one this time.
Okay, so she's running. She's competing against somebody. We'll do something that's, just really grabs a hold of everything, right? Something like that? Okay.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Here we go. I can't get it to stop.
That's not what I had in the queue.
All right. Well, you know what? It's going to be Rock the 167th, right?
Sure.
Let's do that. And Sam, next time we'll do better because we can't do any worse on that.
I can only hope so at this point.
Okay, we are with Melissa Dicranian, and she is running in the 167th, and I would like to thank you for coming on board. Another person that responded immediately when I inquired about coming on. So why don't we start with telling me a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you know, I live in the 167. I'm a resident of Charlestown. I live on a farm. And I decided to jump on board with this because of everything that's going on locally and wanting to be a part of the solution. The theme for my campaign is People First, because we have a lot of great people and we have a lot of really wonderful resources.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not working for us right now, what we have. And the people need to be represented. They need to be represented by our government, and they need to be represented by the House seat. So I am looking to earn their votes. I, as you know, live on a farm, so I'm involved with the PA Farm Bureau, and I'm familiar with the farm issues, and I have been involved with representing the farmers. Earlier this year, it was wonderful that the Waters of the U.S. was overturned. The Waters of the U.S. was an arm of the Environmental Protection Agency that really overrides some of the rights of our farmers.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a tremendous issue. I'm glad you're jumping on board with that because it really puts a stranglehold on them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, well, maybe I should go back to the beginning. The area itself, West Vincent, West Pikeland, East and West Whiteland, East Calne, the borough of Malvern, and precincts 5 and 6 in East Goshen. So if you're in that area,
yeah, it's weird. You got that little carve out in the one township, just a little tiny chunk. Is that like Hershey's Mill or something?
It's Hershey Mill, and just outside of Hershey Mill, and I was meeting some of those people last night at the fair.
Oh, great.
So that was good. As well, I have been looking at a lot of economic concerns. I'm endorsed by the PA Chamber as of last week, which I'm very honored to be.
Yeah, very good.
And I'd love to be a part of a strong workforce development, which I know that there's a lot of things that different people are working on at this time. But I'd like the House seat to support that and work with that and work with the programs that are functioning well and to see them and supply them with what they need to be successful. Right now, we are down over 12% with our 16 to 24-year-olds. That's a big part of the workforce we don't want to lose.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the problems I see is that that workforce is getting diminished more because they're taking away the minimum wage jobs because the numbers are getting too high sometimes on like minimum wage in some of these states where they're going to automation too, where you don't have the jobs for them.
Correct. And these at the age group that the pandemic hit was very crucial to them. Senior year, during college. So I think they're feeling also disenfranchised.
I don't blame them.
Right. So we need to work on that as well as our aging workforce. So we really have things on both sides of us working against us, but with the talent that we have here, we can overcome that. But without a plan, we can't. And so we need to have a strong plan and have people that support it in our government and vote for what we need to support that.
Sure. I don't worry about that aging workforce with me. I'm going to be working till the day I die.
Oh.
That's
one less person to worry about.
That's right. And not by choice, by the way. It'll just be one of those things. Actually, I was driven by my parents. You work. That's what you do. You're supposed to be a good part of society, and you should be out there working as long as you possibly can. Now, I get kind of jealous of some of my friends that retired at 50. But you know what? I don't know what I'd do if I didn't work. No matter what it is, whatever project I'm working on or how I'm helping out somebody or volunteering someplace. I got to be doing something.
I agree with you, and that's the one reason why I'm looking forward to being a state rep is that I could just be doing my own thing, I guess, and being happy with that. But I feel driven to do this. I love meeting the people, and I see the solutions that we can partake in if the seat is working with the people. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
You know, I spoke with former Representative Becky Corbin one time. I saw her at the gas pumps, and we were talking. It was 10 o'clock at night. She had to go back up to Harrisburg that night. I said, Representative Corbin, what are you doing out here? She said, I got to get up to Harrisburg. It's 10 o'clock at night. I said, you're out of your mind. Go home, get some sleep, and then go. And as we were talking, as we're filling our tanks, of course, I had a dually pickup that was empty, so that was a half hour and $200 later. She said, Barry, I got to tell you something. To do the job of representative right, it is the hardest job you will ever have. You know, it's going to meetings, going to here, going to there, going to the chicken dinners, you know, cutting the ribbons and all that. She worked every day of the week, every day she was in office. She took a couple vacations, but other than that, Monday through Sunday, she was working.
And that's what we need. I think we need people to work as hard as the other people are working in our economy. And I think that just the hope that the government is going to work for you will keep people also more involved in moving forward.
That's what I would hope too. Okay, you know, one of the things you see is that people think it goes on automatic, and they don't get interested in what's happening in politics until it affects them personally, right? So that's one of the things that, you know, if it's not automatic and things are going okay as they see it, until it affects the 2 square feet that they occupy, nobody cares.
Well, and I think a lot of people obviously are feeling it. A lot of people, even regardless of where they are in the economic scale of things, we have been going downhill for such a long time that it's really involving more people to be feeling the pressure of the economy. And one of the things that we see most often here in Pennsylvania, being the second largest producer of electricity, we see our electric bills going up. And it seems as a taxpayer, well, everything just keeps going up and getting higher. And nobody tells us why or what's happening. They're making all the decisions, and if they need the money, they'll let you know. And
sure. And you write the check, and everything will be fine. You know,
Correct.
I just paid my PICO bill for obviously electricity, and it was a warm July. It was $250 for that, and it's not a big house, 1,800 square feet. Not a lot. That's air conditioning, you know, but it's a lot. It's gone up substantially over the years.
I think it's hard, and I think I myself personally was disenfranchised some with being left out of really why the prices were rising. I mean, you can take your time and you can look it up and you can research, but we are the essentially the person that they're supposed to be working for. So I think that they could provide us with the information in a more forthright.
Right. So at least you understand it. I can tell you one of the things I've noticed is that inflation. It sounds good because people go, "Oh, look, I just got more money. Ooh, look at that." But what they don't realize is the most insidious tax you'll ever have, because your pay raise never keeps up with inflation. You're getting more money, but then when your bills come in at the end of the month, now there's a lag to it, right? But as it happens, it turns out you have less at the end of the month. But it makes the average person feel good because they're like, I'm making $300 more than I was 4 years ago. Yeah, but your bills are twice what they were. And people don't understand when that happens. But it's a feel-good device that the politicians point at. Look how much more money you make. They don't talk about the cost of goods going up because it hits everybody. And one of the things is energy. So real quick, I'm going to ask you about that. Fracking doesn't affect us down here. There is no fracking. What do you think of fracking?
Well, anything that affects us in Pennsylvania fracking affects us as well. Although I hope to be representing 167, I will be working with people that are in the districts that the fracking is harming. And so we all have to work together to make sure PA as a state works for the good of all. Mm-hmm. We have to work. That's why we live in the communities we live in, so that we know the issues that are there, mm-hmm. and we best bring that voice to Harrisburg.
Yeah. So you're concerned about fracking, but you're pro-gas, anti-gas?
I'm pro-gas because essentially our energy has to come from somewhere,
right?
Whether it's nuclear, whether it's coal, whether it's liquid natural propane. So we have energy uses that mm-hmm. we're going to use. When it's hard to say, when people say, electric prices are high, so use less electricity, but they're asking us to get rid of our fossil fuel vehicles. I don't know a lot of people that can afford to buy new vehicles right now, and obviously at the cost of electricity, I'm not so sure that they could afford to feed the vehicles with electricity once they purchase them. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be balanced, right?
I feel a little left out of decisions that are being made, other than paying taxes.
Right, right. Shut up, pay your taxes.
Right.
And you want to bring a little bit more clarity and transparency is what you're saying.
Yes, for sure. I think we need to. I mean, we are the client essentially.
Yep.
And so we need to know what's happening.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I love having you on here. I'd love to have you back again, and I appreciate you responding so quick to me about this. Maybe you can come back for another 20 minutes another time for the election and talk,
sure. I'd
or
look
even
forward
after
to
the
it.
election when you become representative,
Oh,
maybe.
wonderful.
Sounds
great.
Fantastic. Hey, listen, I appreciate it. We are going to get ready to close out the show. Do you have any last things you want to say?
Well, the theme for my campaign is people first, and I look forward to representing everyone. I love meeting the people. I love hearing what they have to say, and I'm looking forward to uniting the communities and bringing us all together for the solutions that we're trying to make happen.
Well, so the big thing is you want people to comment to you. Let them know how you feel.
Sure, yes.
You got it. Hey, thank you so much, Melissa Dicranian, running in the 167th. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a lot of fun. Sorry about that entrance. So we just couldn't seem to get it
That's
right.
fine.
But he is Sam the intern, right?
Yeah,
So thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. So we're gonna wrap up here. You just kind of hang out there for a minute with me, Melissa. We'll do this thing, and that's about all the time we have. And be sure to like and follow the WCHE Facebook page, where you can keep up what's happening all around town and the county. You can also see my videos on both my Facebook page, which is WCHE All Politics Are Local with Barry D, and my YouTube channel, All Politics Are Local with Barry D. And remember, if you like my show, take the time to send a nice note to WCHE at WCHE1520.com. And if you don't like my show, listen anyway, because maybe I'll grow on you, kind of like George Costanza from Seinfeld. I'd like to thank Sam the intern for running the boards for me, which makes my job a whole lot easier. And again, he will be appearing at the Movie Tavern all weekend long. I might see him for Deadpool and Wolverine, thanks to Eric Clambera, the chief of the studio, keeping his professional oversight on both Sam the intern and me, and keeping us in line. And as always, thanks for the outgoing and always pleasant Donna Saul, the manager of WCHE, for keeping my show on for at least one more week. The listenership has been increasing every week, thanks to you, the listeners, wanting to know what's happening out there that affects our lives. We're going to get some closeout music here, and I'm Barry D for All Politics Are Local on WCHE, and I'll see you all next week. This is Fool for the City by Foghat, a classic, and thanks for listening.